Parents of teenagers, listen up. In honor of National Teen Safety Week, we want to remind you that automobile crashes are still the #1 killer of teens in our country. That is why Michelin, North America's tire and driving safety expert Sarah Robinson is here to remind our teens and really everyone to be safe on the road. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, my kids are 6 and 4, but this is something I dread already when they become teenagers and hit the road. I know this is something that all parents can relate to. What advice do you have, certainly this time of year, this week, which is so important to remind parents and students to be safe?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's still the #1 killer of teens are these automobile crashes. And really, most of this is preventable and avoidable if we just take action ahead of time. And Michelin recently did a study and found out that 40% of teens are actually driving on unsafe tires. And again, this is completely avoidable. So we want to bring the conversation to the forefront. We don't want to ignore the progress that we've made in reducing and making the awareness around distracted driving or impaired driving, but we want to make tires a part of the conversation too. And let's be honest, it's not so easy to get really excited about tires. You know, if you think about a teenager and they're speccing out their first car and they've got the color and the model and the trim picked out, the last thing on their check sheet is the tires. So we want to make the conversation a little bit more interesting and start making some analogies that make a lot more sense. And so Michelin recently partnered with vans to make these Michelin Man vans, and we wanted to start thinking about, okay, well, ultimately, a lot of people care about their shoes and how they look, or, you know, you think about you're walking on a slippery surface and your soles are a little bit more worn than you thought they were, and all of a sudden you kind of make that slide there and you think, oh boy. Well, in reality, tires are the shoes for our car. And we put them ourselves in the same position. However, instead of walking at 2 or 3 miles an hour, when we're ignoring the condition of our tires, we're putting ourselves in peril at 40 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. It's really a grave situation, but something that we can tackle ahead of time. And just getting people to understand and training on, proper ways to use this really expensive hardware here. I've got about $3 of equipment here in order to check our tire pressures once a month and using a penny to check our tread depth. Now, I say once a month because tires can lose pressure over time, and especially as you remarked a little bit earlier, this time of year, it kind of makes an impact because as temperature drops as we go into winter, so does the pressure of our tires. And we always want to ensure that we've got adequate pressure in the tires so they can bear the load, give us the best wet and dry performance, and basically give us the best value in our tires and keep us safe.
Well, and it's important, I think you mentioned maintenance, because even if you get a great tire from the start, you got to make sure that it's well maintained. And like you said, with a simple tool like that, if parents can be teaching their kids, that's the best thing to do.
Absolutely. And sometimes we make the bold assumption that the parents and adults are also checking our tires on a regular basis. So the education goes beyond just the teens, but we want to make sure that we're setting the right example. It's not enough anymore to say, do as I say, but not as I do. Yeah. They're watching, they're seeing your young kids are going to see what you're doing and make it a part of their lives.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. So important to keep reminding teens to stay safe on the road, parents as well. We appreciate it.